All right. See, I think we are evaluating two different patterns of assessment here. One, the board cutoffs for the various admission in colleges, various courses in various colleges. I am a product of Lady Shri Ram College. So I know the kind of a rat race which is there. I keep a very close watch on the cutoff for LSR, and it is usually 100% for many of the LSR courses every year. And definitely there is a lot of stress amongst the parents, amongst the students, teachers and principals as well. On the other hand, now that we are switching on to a system of common entrance examination, I understand this rat race will definitely not end here. Now we'll have another rat race starting. Now we'll have another domains and other examinations that we'll be preparing children for. It is definitely required that our students, I mean, that's what we would want our children to get into the bestest of college. So they will have to perform well. Either it is the CBSE examination, which is considered to be the criteria for admission, or it will be any other entrance. Let's not forget what JEE and NEET kind of a pressure the children of sciences, feel, and so do the parents and teachers. So it's going to be the same for the commerce and humanities students as well. Yes, it's too early to say whether it is good, whether it is bad. I feel that a well-designed examination can definitely lead to relieving of stress, can definitely get the child who has the genuine IQ, get into these good colleges. Marks or no marks, there will be some criteria, some merit. There are limited seats, there are limited colleges. So that kind of competition will stay. We can't run away from that. But the merit in the two patterns of assessment, it's too early for us to comment. I think our children are now entering into an era where they feel that fine, this is the way one has to prepare and this is the way one has to enter. Term 1 CBSE was MCQ based. And that was where the children learned the style of studying was not rote learning. They have already tasted the objective type of assessment. And I think they are well prepared to, face this kind of an interest as well.
So let me add to the question, ma'am. See, one important thing is how far our teachers are equipped, or do you think that teachers also will have to prepare from a different point of view? Because when I visit the schools, teachers say that the students are preparing for NEET or JEE or any other competitive examination, and they train the students in that way. So do you think that in the light of the CUET being introduced, even in the sciences, the commerce and arts and humanities, do you think that the teachers will have to think, teachers will have to teach from that point?
See, as much as I have understood of the CUET, we are going to take NCERT as the base. NCERT remains our Bibles even for the CBSE examination. That means if I talk about just the domain part of it, the second section of the CUET, we are completely and entirely taking the NCERT syllabi as the ground of our evaluation, even in CUET. That means syllabus being the same, it is just the assessment pattern which is different. Rather than having long questions, now we'll be having only objective type questions with some kind of a negative marking as well. Even CBSE over the last few years had incorporated this 1-mark objective type paper questions in many of the subjects. That means the teachers are already, the CBSE, at least I can talk about the CBSE's affiliated schools, the teachers are already trained to develop a question bank that includes the 1-mark questions. The students in their classes are already being taught to understand that this is the question or this is the concept which can be asked as an objective type question. I am referring to only humanities because that being my own domain. I'm referring to subjects like political science, history, geography. So we already have equipped ourselves as teachers to understand that this concept can be asked in this pattern of objective question. And so do we teach our students as well. The only difference is that in CBSE, definitely there is no negative marking, and we do bank upon long questions. Ki chalo 6 number ka question hai, 1-2 number to mil hi jayenge. But now we have, either a right or a wrong, and if it is a wrong, then -1/4. So that kind of a training is definitely required in probably, that's the way I suggest my children attempt a few sample papers and, evaluate yourself with the negative marking to train yourselves. But I think all of our teachers, we have we've tested ourselves and proved ourselves over these 2 years of pandemic as well. So CUT and other things are not much big deal for teachers like us.
Okay, great. Thank you. What is your thought on that?
I definitely think that the universities will surely come out with some minimum eligibility of the board percentage for children to be able to apply in a particular course in a particular college. That surely is going to happen, goes without saying. But what shall be that cutoff will definitely depend from college to college, university to university. Even the courses can have a different kind of a minimum percentage required. So, as far as the first part of the question is concerned, the disadvantage, I think, we are talking about all the schools that are connected here are CBSE schools, and NCERT is the book that we follow. So maybe the schools that do not, maybe the boards which have a different curriculum, they might feel a disadvantage here, because the NTA circular clearly says that the second domain is absolutely based on the NCERT. So that disadvantage, I do feel. I am not very well versed with the curriculum of the other boards. I do not know what kind of a difference is there. But NCERT people can have an advantage if the other students are not following the same.
Okay, but entrance per se, you are saying that it is good. And when you consider for the admissions, let us say that the top colleges want to take, based on both the cutoff as well as the entrance rank, you are saying that it is good.
There are two things probably that I can visualize as of now, sir. One is that they might have a minimum cutoff as an eligibility for entrance. Probably having some weightage given to the percentage of CBSE and add on the score of CUET. So I think that the universities must be deliberating upon.
Okay, fine.
I didn't get the question, sir. Reserve the seats for the.
See, for example, For example, we have a concept called state quota, which NITs follow. Okay, so can the institutions reserve a set of seats for some states, something like that, or it has to be based on the complete one single ranking?
I think many of the universities do have this kind of domiciles quotas which are given away.
Yeah.
See, everything has. I think the planners make a policy keeping this in mind, that maybe the states or the children of that particular state can take an advantage. If I got the question right, I would like to give an example. For the medical students, there are reservations for the Delhiites in the Delhi, in the medical colleges of Delhi. Many of the Haryana students would go and take up dummy admissions in the Delhi NCR region because they feel they become eligible to, take advantage of that quota which is given. I personally am dead against any kind of reservations. I have my own theories for that. I feel, yes, CUET can prove to be a kind of a disadvantage for children who do not have access to being trained in logical reasoning or numerical aptitude. But then I think my personal opinion is that the CUET could have been, implemented maybe after a year or so when the children were thoroughly, prepared and mentally they were geared to have, attempted for an entrance and not just the merit of the CBSE for the admissions. Yes, I feel I come back to what Shalini ma'am just said. The coaching centers will surely take an advantage. The moment there is an entrance, they are mushrooming with the so-called crash courses. So all said and done, I feel there will be a disadvantage, but then that disadvantage is existed even in the other systems. In many courses in many universities even now. So probably the NTA clearly says that we are testing the numerical aptitude only up to class 8. But I think as teachers, we all will agree how many of us have taught our students on this objective pattern of numerical aptitude till class 8. We were teaching them something very different. I mean, in a very different way. We were assessing them in a very different way. Now, after 4 years that the child has done his 8th and we take him back to class 8 and say कि वो याद करो 8th में तुमने पढ़ा था, अब 1 mark का question आएगा. I think it definitely will help the coaching industry.
Yeah, very true, very true. So, Shalini ma'am, your thoughts on this, and adding to this, or will there be a scenario where some students will get some advantage? Puja Mann.
Sir, out of the entire set of sections of the CUET, one thing I really admire about them is the language part. So I think as per the NEP also, this was mandated. Now, this kind of an understanding or a perception that only children who are good in English can be successful will fade away with this kind of section 1A and section 1B set of languages that the child can opt for. I personally feel that the first set, that is the mandatory section of the language, out of the 13 languages given, child can choose any one. This rather will give a level fair ground for competition to children across various states, and that truly will bring that unity in diversity, where children are competing despite the difference of the mother tongue or the difference of medium of instructions that they have studied. So this particular thing I feel is a reasonably good thing out of the entire format. Even in the second part of the 1B part of the languages, it is it's an optional paper, only to be taken if the child wants to undergo a program in the language courses only. So I think fair enough, it really makes sense that ways. I think it is a good thing.
Okay, but you don't think that it will be beneficial for somebody who has very good command over the language, not in the domain subjects?
This being the section 1A being a compulsory language that the child has to choose, I think the students can choose the subject or the language in which they are strong. They feel that they can attempt the comprehension part better than any other language. Talking about the domains, which is the second part of our CUET, these are the subjects from which the child chooses. So I definitely feel that these two are different things, and will not be a hurdle for the students not having English as the medium of instructions, yet they'll be competing with the students of that kind of, so probably the English medium students will not have an advantage here. Okay,
great. Or will there be a scenario where some students will get some advantage? Puja Mann.
Sir, out of the entire set of sections of the CUET, one thing I really admire about them is the language part. So I think as per the NEP also, this was mandated. Now, this kind of an understanding or a perception that only children who are good in English can be successful will fade away with this kind of section 1A and section 1B set of languages that the child can opt for. I personally feel that the first set, that is the mandatory section of the language, out of the 13 languages given, child can choose any one. This rather will give a level fair ground for competition to children across various states, and that truly will bring that unity in diversity, where children are competing despite the difference of the mother tongue or the difference of medium of instructions that they have studied. So this particular thing I feel is a reasonably good thing out of the entire format. Even in the second part of the 1B part of the languages, it is it's an optional paper, only to be taken if the child wants to undergo a program in the language courses only. So I think fair enough, it really makes sense that ways. I think it is a good thing.
Okay, but you don't think that it will be beneficial for somebody who has very good command over the language, not in the domain subjects?
This being the section 1A being a compulsory language that the child has to choose, I think the students can choose the subject or the language in which they are strong. They feel that they can attempt the comprehension part better than any other language. Talking about the domains, which is the second part of our CUET, these are the subjects from which the child chooses. So I definitely feel that these two are different things, and will not be a hurdle for the students not having English as the medium of instructions, yet they'll be competing with the students of that kind of, so probably the English medium students will not have an advantage here.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So I think we will have the final round here. I would like to ask Puja ma'am, since you are from SRCC, a $1 million question. Suppose if you are made the in charge of admissions with SRCC, what model of admissions will you choose? Will you go completely by CUET rank, or will you consider the +2 marks also?
I'll just correct, sir. I am a product of LSR, that's Lady Shri Ram College, and not SRCC.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
So if I was given this opportunity to decide on the criteria of admissions, the kind of philosophy I've seen in the DU is I will not go by CUET alone. I will definitely give advantage, some weightage or some cutoff for the CBSE. There is a reason for that. The CBSE is testing you on your knowledge gained over 2 years, that is 11th and 12th. All said and done, yes, I agree that the NTA says that class 8 takka syllabus and everything, yet it is a one-shot game in the CUET. For any reason, if it doesn't work out for the student, the child might lose that session. So I think only to have a fair fielding ground and a playing ground for the students, my personal take would be to have weightages given to both.
Okay. Mohan sir, do you want to counter Puja ma'am, or will you agree to that?
Definitely. Actually, what happened last year in Delhi University and why CUET on the ground, the student in Kerala board scored maximum 100%.
Yes.
This is the reason why the problem was faced during the admission and cut off 100%